My name is Richard. I am affiliated with the Spirit University. I have been on a conscious spiritual path since 1984, and it's my pleasure and privilege to fill up the next 15 minutes while we're waiting for Brian's time slot to roll up to us. There's a story in Zen Buddhist circles about a couple of frogs. And one day it's a boy frog and a girl frog, and they're out romping and just hopping here and there. And then all of a sudden they see this large thing and say, gee, wouldn't it be fun to get on top of that? So they both leapt up to be on top of this thing. Well, what they didn't understand is they were not leaping onto a solid surface, they were leaping actually into a bucket. And the bucket was filled about 3/4 full with milk. And because they were frogs, of course, they didn't understand that they were in milk, but they understood that they were in an environment they didn't want to be in. And so they began to struggle to get out, trying to hop out of the milk. And of course, the sides of the bucket were slick and they couldn't get any purchase on anything, and they were struggling. And the noise of the struggle began to attract a crowd of other frogs. And they managed to get up to where they're looking over the lip of the pail and they can see these two down in there struggling. And after about 10 or 15 minutes, the boy frog just couldn't do it anymore. And he just gave up. The girl frog, however, kept on trying to hop out. Well, the crowd around saw that the boy frog had given up, and they saw the situation. They said, well, you're never going to get out of there. So they started telling the girl frog, just give up. Just, there's no point in struggling. There's no point in working or efforting. Just give up. And as she could see this going on, the more that they yelled at her to give up, the harder she started to work. And then they started to get angry because she wasn't paying any attention to them. And they began to say, just give up. And they got real enthusiastic. You got to quit. Just quit and die to the bottom of that. And the more they did this, the harder they gesticulated, the more resolute she was with working, trying to get out of there. And it was making the crowd of frogs crazy because they wanted her to just give up. And all of a sudden, as she struggled, as she worked, as she churned, all of a sudden, something solid under her appeared, and she was able to get the leverage that she needed to leap out of the bucket. Well, of course, she was a frog, and she didn't understand that when you agitate milk, it turns into butter. Now, the other frogs, of course, once she got out, are all gathering around, to congratulate her and so on. But they couldn't understand, why didn't you just give up? Well, it turns out that the girl frog was deaf. She couldn't hear the words of discouragement, but she took all of the physical gesticulation as encouragement.
Is that a true story?
That's a true story. I witnessed it. I'm a frog guy. I think the metaphor is clear. There's actually a couple of them. The first obvious moral of the story that pops up, of course, is, our struggles are there to make us stronger. And I think it was Nietzsche that said, whatever doesn't kill me makes me stronger. So our struggles are here to make us stronger. Physically, if we go to the gym, we have to lift weights and do all this other unpleasant stuff in order to build up the body. But the more we work, the more strength we get. Mentally, it's the same thing. Mental challenges help us build our mental capacity. That's a lot of what school is about. Spiritually, it's the same thing. We have life challenges, and those life challenges are designed, now even though that's a passive voice construction, there is no entity out there that has designed this for us. Our challenges are designed by ourselves. But we design our challenges to help us solve problems and grow and strengthen and become more powerful and more capable and more effective in the specific areas of our life that we need that. Wow. Something in the air just sucks the juice right out of your chops when you're up here. It's unbelievable.
Maybe it's the frog in your throat.
It could be. That reminds me of a story, but I won't go there.
Frog leg?
The second interpretation of it that I think is equally as important is to be deaf.
What?
Be deaf. That was a line. That was your straight line. Be deaf.
I can't hear you. What?
Be deaf. The world, the unconscious world, doesn't understand folks like you and me. They haven't got a clue what we're about, and we make them crazy. And they focus on the things that are wrong in their lives. And we can't afford to listen to that. We can't afford to take that in. They will also want to, bless their little cotton socks, discourage us. Because they cannot understand what our dream is. Why don't you want to work 60, 70 hours a week in order to have this mansion on the beach? You know, why do you want to go to a yoga studio and spend a couple of 2, 3 hours doing that when you could be over here having, you know, drinks and pizza and stuff and partying with us? They don't understand that. And so because they don't understand it, they're going to tend to try to discourage us. Unconscious parents who have conscious children are this way, because the conscious children have all kinds of aspirations and visions, and they're all like this, but the unconscious parents are all constricted. And a constricted person has a lot of challenges being around an expansive person. We have to be deaf to that. We have to be able to, in our minds, convert that into encouragement, into something that keeps us churning in life until finally we have churned enough that we have something solid underneath us that we can jump off of.
I like your uses of pauses during your speech. I like that.
Thank you.
The pauses really add flavor. Gives us consciousness to process. I'm going to use that.
I know there's something else that wants to come through, and it's just not clicking in.
Close your eyes, it'll open.
Are there any energetic disturbances going on with the quiet? That's what I got distracted from. As a philosophical position in life, for myself, I have accepted the philosophical position that nothing can come to me except by my invitation. And as things come to me, I can resist them or I can allow them. That seems to be my range of selection. Resist or allow. And as I resist, that creates that constriction. And the constriction doesn't allow things to flow. If I allow, that creates expansion. And expansion allows energies to flow. So if I have created or called to myself a situation where I'm in front of a group of people and all of a sudden I run out of things to say, I can resist that, which turns on the brain, and the brain starts going nuts. Oh my God, what's that person in the third seat in the second row back there thinking, because I don't have anything to say. But if I allow it and just relax into it and let it be what it is and open to the experience of it, then whatever energy is in there for me to release will come out and flow through. I'm going to bring you up in 3 minutes, Brian. We're getting close. The situations that I have designed for my own growth are perfect regardless of what the circumstances may appear to be, regardless of what the consequences may appear to be, the situations that I have designed for myself to experience are exactly the things that I need to experience right here and right now. And I don't have to understand that. I spent many, many years feeling that I had to understand why do I have these feelings going on inside of me? Why is this happening? I have found that it's much easier for me to shift from the resistance to the allowance if I let go of the need to understand why, and just to allow and to accept that which is to be as it is.